Well, when you come to a continent that is almost completely covered by ice and that ice has the potential to melt, you certainly want to discover its history. That's a quote from today's guest, who has traveled to Antarctica to make an award-winning documentary of scientific discovery. It's called The Lake at the Bottom of the World, and the filmmaker is Kathy Kasich. Welcome to you, Kathy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We are so excited to have you here. Sac State alumni, by the way, so stingers up for us.
Totally stingers up.
So, Kathy, what made you make this film, first of all? And tell us a little bit about the film.
Well, I decided to make the film when I was invited to join the National Science Foundation grant with John Priscu at the Montana State University, where I used to teach. And it started in 2016. So that's when we first got the grant. I'm a principal investigator as a scientist / filmmaker on the grant. And we went to the field in 2019.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so started filming for 6 weeks. Yeah.
6 weeks in Antarctica. What was that like? What was the expedition out there like? Tell us about that.
Well, we flew to McMurdo Station, and then from there flew 400 miles in, deeper into the continent.
Oh my.
And set up a camp and camped on the ice. And then discovered a subglacial lake hidden 3,600 feet underneath the ice in Antarctica.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so we had to use a hot water drill, which is like just a giant garden hose, and of like thousands of feet, and sent that down the hole with warm hot water to melt the hole, just like a little ice fishing hole.
Just a little ice
Yeah,
hole.
exactly.
So what were some of the challenges you guys faced there? I have to ask that.
Well, obviously cold Antarctic brutal wind, and lots of snow, and frozen LCD screens for filming. It was hard to be able to see what I was doing sometimes.
Yeah.
And then just like the challenges of making a hole 3,600 feet into the ice sheet.
Yeah.
And then sending instruments down to film. Yeah, it was, they would get frozen over, and the batteries would die because it was so cold. Things like that.
Oh, I'm getting cold just thinking about it, Kathy. But you know, one of the reasons you mentioned you did this was because of the scientific discoveries you wanted to make. Which ones did you make?
Well, I was with a whole crew of scientists. They're brilliant people, and it was a big collaboration. And so some of the discoveries revolve around climate science and trying to understand really the climate history of the West Antarctic ice sheet, because it's been known since 1978 that it's in danger of collapse with global warming. And so we wanted to really find out how likely that would be. And one of the discoveries was that about 10,000 years ago, there was no ice sheet there. And that's when CO2 levels were lower than they are today, which then implies that it's very likely that it'll collapse at some point in the future if we're not, if we don't manage our CO2 levels.
To that point, what do you hope folks get from this film?
Well, I think that, and also they discovered basically all new life underneath the ice sheet that they never knew existed before. There are over 600 lakes underneath the West Antarctic, or under the Antarctic ice sheet, I should say.
Yeah.
And so that means there's a whole biosphere down there that we just really never knew existed.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's really important, I think, that we find ways to explore really hidden places on the planet, but also use that information to try to help sustain us in the future. And I think ultimately what I really want people to know is that this is accessible to anyone. We can all be scientists. People could go and find more information about our planet. And it's really something that it's a new frontier in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think that things are still being discovered every day.
Yeah. What was your favorite part of doing this project?
Working with the people there, yeah. I think this has been the best collaboration I've probably ever had, and I think the film shows that. It shows people really working together to find solutions.
And you had a big debut this Monday. Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so the film's now available. It's called The Lake at the Bottom of the World. The lake's available on Amazon, iTunes, Vudu, a whole bunch of cable networks. It's got some DVD release as well. So basically just type it into Google and you can find it somewhere and you can watch it.
I love it. It's won awards. It's from a local filmmaker. Go watch it, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, Kathy. Good to see you. Once again, it's called The Lake at the Bottom of the World. To find out more, you can see all the streaming platforms, as Kathy mentioned, where it's available. Just go to antarcticlakefilm.com.